Alright, Valorant's final verdict is in, and it ain't pretty. But before we get started, my name is Beckett, and if you want to sub, that's awesome. If you don't, that's cool. Just watching really helps the channel, so let's get into this. Alright, I'm going to be making many comparisons to CSGO, so before the Valorant simps jump in the comments and say, Valorant is a tactical shooter, it's not CSGO, it's not trying to be CSGO, that's just a lie. Remove hero abilities and the cartoony design, everything is a CSGO clone, and made that way to draw in Counter-Strike players. Whether it's the buy system, maps, guns, or gameplay, it's impossible not to see the resemblance. So I decided to give Valorant a second try this morning, and I instantly regretted it. About 10 minutes in my first game, I saw things that I just couldn't look past anymore. And honestly, in the beginning, I loved this game and wanted to give it as much time as I could because I thought it would grow into something that I would love, but it didn't. Now, before I get called a CSGO fanboy in the comments, let me just preface this that I never even gave CSGO a chance, and by the time I actually played it, the game just felt outdated. I think I probably have about 80 hours on my Steam account. If you don't believe me, go ahead and look me up. It's just Beckett. I just didn't like it compared to the mechanics that were featured in modern shooters at the time, such as Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, and Destiny, and I know the former two aren't really competitive, but they were fun for me at the time. Now, I did used to play Counter-Strike back in the day on 1.6, but this was purely just on Tuesdays during my seriously crippling WoW addiction, just during resets to kill time for a few hours until the game came back online. Now, when Valorant launched, it looked good and it felt good initially. It was like CSGO with a beautiful polish. Now, after about 100 hours with Valorant, I realized I enjoyed the playstyle so much that I would just give CSGO the real college try, give it a serious chance, and then I immediately saw the issues with Valorant, and CSGO just made that glaringly apparent. I'm going to touch on skins as quick as possible. I don't care if it's free to play. Charging $100 for skins and having to pay an additional $200 with another type of currency, I believe it's called Radiant Points, should never be a thing. And yes, CSGO has skins, but it's built off a free market and holds some sort of value. Even though you may spend $1 or $100, it's not worth nothing, and you might be able to resell certain items for hundreds of dollars of profit. Now, once you buy a skin in Valorant, or you buy the bundle, it loses all value and you're unable to resell it or trade it or do anything with it. It's just worth what you think it's worth, and this is just a filthy practice and why I would never support these skins by any means, unless you were able to upgrade it through XP, kills, or you're able to upgrade it through the Battle Pass system at all. I know you can get skins through the Battle Pass system, but you can't upgrade those without purchasing Radiant Points or their other currency system and doing it through that. So I gotta spend what, $10, $15 on Battle Pass, and then I'm gonna spend what, another $100 just to upgrade a certain skin? No thank you. Now we can move into gameplay. Initially, I thought random spread was a great idea, in a casual sense, giving new or low-skilled players a fighting chance against people who put thousands of hours into games like Valorant. Also, having ADS on all weapons was very huge for me at first, coming from games like Destiny, Call of Duty. Pretty much any modern shooter has an ADS system in place. Then I realized it was worthless and actually hurt me and got me killed more often instead of improving on gameplay mechanics from its competitor CSGO. Now, not knowing where my bullets would land after the third or fourth shot became frustrating the more and more time I put into Valorant. I'm honestly no master at controlling spread, but I am beginning to improve on my rifling spread, and that is such a satisfying feeling in Counter-Strike. Always having that sense of control that I can consistently improve on myself keeps me coming back more and more and more, and I can see myself developing better skills and just improving on gameplay overall. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but games in Valorant just seem to go on way too long. They have less rounds, but it seems like almost every game, it either times out with the time limit, whether it's a save or it's a plant, or just add on that extra 30 seconds where you have to wait for the buy period. It just throws off any momentum you may have from the previous round. Now, giving your team to plan out something in advance, it honestly sounds good in theory, but fails in practice. And I would love to play more than one game every hour. I don't have a lot of time in the world. Well, we got pandemic going on now, but as soon as I go back to work, I'm not going to have that much time, and I would like to play more than 3 games a night. I'd like to play 4, 5, 6 if I can in a 2-3 hour period. And imagine someone who has less time. Let's say you only have 2 hours to play the game. Are you going to play Valorant and maybe, I can only play 2 games and I might suck the first one? No, I think you're going to choose another game, something more fast paced, something ends quickly, and you're not just waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, a lot of these issues I honestly blame on the map size, the movement, and the hero abilities. Maps just feel so small, honestly forcing you to walk maybe after 10 steps just because of the audible cues. Movement also feels really sluggish to me and just not engaging. Simply getting tagged usually results in a death sentence, and if you cannot kill your opponent, you're just dead. There's no option to strafe, to cover. It's just not even there, and it's not available. And abilities and economy are also one and the same. Certain abilities aren't even necessary to buy. For instance, like Jet, you can go for most of the round without even using any of her abilities except the jump, sometimes the dash, but that always comes back each round, and you're able to have an op by the 2nd or 3rd round and just dominate throughout the whole game. Now, when we look at characters like Sova and Cypher, their abilities give so much intel in the game, it literally rewards the lack of movement and incentivizes the campy playstyle, which I've never been a fan of. It is a tactical shooter, but it doesn't need to be that slow, and it just gets to a point where it's just not fun, where you're just kind of waiting. It's like, why push when you're on the terrorist side? Just wait out. CT will probably get impatient, and you'll get easy picks. But I'm looking at this as a slightly above average player, very, very slightly. Sure, an experienced defender won't push, but that usually doesn't happen in a mid-tier play game. Now, if you use a flash or a molly wrong in CSGO, you're extremely punished, and you might be dead or lose the round for your team, and that goes for smokes as well. Now, on the other side in Valorant, some flashes don't even affect yourself, like with Reyna, or even your team, so you can just throw in any general direction of the enemy and get a free kill or win the round without risking your team or yourself. Now, more on the economy. Sure, you're forced to buy the expensive armor most of the time, but sometimes you can get away with it if you're using an op, and you just don't need to buy it. You don't need to buy defuse kits on CT side either. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but abilities you bought in the previous round carry over if you die in Valorant. Now, when playing CSGO, every utility item has its need, and you can use it differently in each round as you see fit. But should you die or you lose that round, those utility items are gone, your weapons, that's all gone. And that can greatly affect you in later rounds, should you not use it properly, or it just becomes a waste and you're not able to buy a smoke grenade on the next round when you need it, or you have to use an SMG instead of an AK. Now, when thinking about that, not being able to buy that smoke on the terrorist side so you can smoke the bomb area and get an easy plant, or being able to flash on CT side to get a couple free kills, is the difference between a win and a loss. No thought goes into the economy, however, when we think about Valorant, and every decision in CSGO can mean that win or that loss. Eco rounds in Valorant are rarely as beneficial as they are in Counter-Strike, and usually they're not even necessary. Maybe, I just have to use SMG this round. It's not really going to affect me. I still have smokes. I still have all this. It doesn't really matter. And that's one of my biggest griefs with Valorant. It's just like nothing really matters. Your decisions don't really affect you. I'm just going to use an op, or I'm going to use this. Am I going to use the M4, or am I going to use the AK? I'm probably always going to have utility every round. I don't really have to think about any decisions about buying. And that's just not fun after playing CSGO and having to actually critically think about what I'm going to do each round. I only have about 10 seconds to buy, and then I need to rush. Otherwise, if I don't get there in time, I'm dead as a CT, or if I'm not in the right place, I may not be able to plant or help my team plant in time. Now, game modes in Valorant, they're nothing. They're extremely lacking. The only options you have is just a traditional bomb plant, like the casual and the rated mode, and a game mode that's called Spike Rush. It was a bomb plant, but everyone has a bomb, and it really just, nothing in the game gives you opportunities to master a weapon or warm up on a consistent basis. Lack of TDM or team deathmatch is a huge detriment to the game, and random weapons just isn't fun. How can I ever master any of these weapons if it's always random? You only get one life every round to truly experiment with it, so you're never going to break the mold and go past or try anything else. I'm just going to stick with my AK, my M4, and I'll use the MP5 or whatever they call it, the Spectre. You know what I'm talking about. It's just, why would I try doing something else? This works. There's no reason, because there's no incentive or there's nothing in the game that lets me want to try new things. Now, not all is bad though. We got newer graphics and the anti-cheat is amazing. It's something Valve should and could implement, and we have seen them do that with the trusted mode, but they need to go above and beyond. But it's just not worth playing just for that. I would rather deal with a few hackers than the massive downside that Valorant offers currently. Although we probably will never see Source 2 on CSGO due to all the community content, I would rather see Valve come out with the same anti-cheat that we see in Valorant. I don't care, they can take all my information. I'll sell my firstborn son. It's a small price to pay for a hacker-free environment. There is something satisfying about that hacker detected screen on Valorant. It's just amazing. It's like, shut it down. Sorry guys, we're not gonna play. We want a good match. We want a great experience for you guys. And that's something I can really appreciate from the side on Riot. I know this was long, but I just want to know, how do you guys feel about CSGO versus Valorant? What do you prefer? Do you prefer Valorant's playstyle? Feel like it's a little more casual? Or do you like CSGO's fast-paced games? Am I completely wrong and don't know anything about the game? That can happen. But a person with fresh eyes on the genre sometimes is a good thing. Now, I'd love to see some thoughtful discussion down below on what you guys truly think about both games, and just want to say thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.